Hi, everybody. So glad that you could join us today. This is like the most special Dev Diaries we've ever done. We are on with Will Wright, who is the creator of some of my favorite games, The Sims and SimCity. And anyone who follows me on social media or on Discord, my avatar is from The Sims 2. So this is like worlds are colliding right now. I'm so excited. So I'll just get us started and say that Dev Diaries is a series that we do here on the Breakthrough T1D Twitch channel, where we interview developers of some of our favorite games and we chat with them about their careers. We talk about their link to type 1 diabetes when they have one, and we play a game that is either special to them or a game that they worked on. So today we're going to be playing The Sims 2 with Will Wright, which, like I said, is so exciting. And before that, we're going to get a sneak peek of his new game, Proxi. So if you're here to see that, you're in the right place. I am Emily. I'm one of the team members here at Breakthrough T1D, and I'm joined by Ariel, who's one of our community streamers and a big Sims fan as well, and Will, obviously. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Let's get started. I want to add the reason that we were able to get Will on the stream today is because one of our advisory council members, Justin Graham, is a member of his studio and is working on Proxi. And Justin has type 1 diabetes, so that's the T1D connection in this case. And so Will, welcome. We're really excited to have you. If we could just, to get started, maybe before we dive into Proxi, could you just tell us a little bit about your background? Like, give us the elevator pitch of your game dev. You've been working on games for many years now.
Yeah, well, I kind of got into games actually through robots. I bought my first computer, an Apple II, back in 1980. Before that, I'd been more involved in like auto racing, stuff like that. And I got interested in machines, mechanical stuff. I always liked making things, and so I got into actually building my earliest robot contraptions when I was about 20 years old, and bought an Apple II computer to connect to these things, shortly thereafter. And I found myself just fascinated by the programming side. And, the Apple II was like one of the last computers that I think a single person could fully understand every aspect of it, at the hardware level, interrupt structure, operating system. I got some of the very earliest games in the Apple II, like the very first flight simulator that was all wireframe graphics. I realized that, I could build like little worlds in this computer, and that just utterly fascinated me. And so I kind of taught myself to program, and I decided, I could probably make one of these games too. And then I could, all the computer stuff is, tax deductible, or computer hardware, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I got started. I did my first game with Rotor1 software, and this is back in the day when there was a lot of piracy, So my first game sold something like 20,000 copies in the US on the Commodore 64, but then it was licensed, Nintendo licensed it in Japan, which is a cartridge system, which is very hard to pirate. It sold 1 million copies there. So, that kind of got me really started. Oh, my old cool feed. Yeah.
I just noticed that. Someone else nerding out over all those copies.
You little shapes or whatever. It's cute.
There it is.
Oh. What is going on?
Yeah.
Someone having fun with your webcam over there.
Yeah. So I did my first game with Rotor1 software, which is where I actually met Lauren Elliott, who is CEO of Gallium. So we've been working together for over 40 years now, which is amazing.
Wow.
40 years, but he was my very first producer on my very first game. He's also the guy that did Carmen Sandiego at Rotor1. I started a little startup with a friend of mine, Jeff Braun, that became Maxis, and we published the first version of SimCity. Rotor1 was distributing it for us, and that really got me solidly into learning how to become a game designer. Before I was just programming something that looked like it would be fun. I got very interested in kind of the design process, and did a bunch of games after that. Just sequel to SimCity, Sim Ant, Sim Earth, Sim Copter, Sim whatever. And then EA, Electronic Arts, bought our company Maxis, and I worked continued to work with Electronic Arts for about 10 years, I guess. Did Spore and some of the later versions of The Sims, like Sims Online. The original Sims was actually done after the EA purchased us. Then left to go off and do other weird stuff for a while. I ran this little think tank called the Stupid Fun Club, and we were doing toy stuff. We did a TV show that was on current TV, like 13 episodes. And then after all that, started Gallium with Lauren, and we've been kind of working on Proxi.
Well, both SimCity and Carmen Sandiego were games that I played as a kid. I spent many hours building my cities, and I thought it was interesting. I read in an article where you explained that the original version of SimCity did not have disasters.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't until later that you realized people wanted like alien invasions and earthquakes and stuff like that. But I used to have so much fun, bringing my city back after a disaster and all of that. It was very formative. I'm curious, since so many of your games have been simulations, like what is it about that genre? Like what kind of inspired you to go into city builders and to basically define the sim genre that's now become just a staple of video gaming? Where did those ideas come from, do you think?
Actually, kind of similar to my interest in robotics.
Yeah.
As you start building a robot, you're trying to replicate, human abilities, all the way from how we think to how we manipulate the world around us, how we move. And it's only when you try to recreate these abilities that you realize how kind of special and wonderful they are. You try to build this, just a human hand, you start realizing, how extraordinary our hands are,
Right.
Sense of touch, the delicacy, the strength, all the different directions you can point these things, it's and so I think my interest in robotics was really about understanding, what's really special about humans. The same with simulation. Simulation is a little bit broader. It's more understanding parts of the world, how the world works, different scales, So simulations allow us, either to look at things over very long time scales. When you play SimCity, you're playing through decades of a city's growth.
Right.
And when you see it in fast forward like that, it's you start realizing how organic a city actually is. When you go out every day and it's the same city you saw yesterday, you don't see it as readily as if you can speed up time. Same with, scale. Spore and SimEarth, allowed me to kind of pull way back and look at, how big is a galaxy? Or SimAnt, how do ants talk? How does that work? So each one of those things, for me, it's a way to explore different parts of the world that I find interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's also interesting that I feel like a common thread through those games are, before you've played it, it's kind of like, well, how is this going to be fun? How is like deciding when people eat their breakfast and when they go to the bathroom and stuff like that? Like, how is that going to be fun? But it is. It's you become kind of fascinated by it, and it's much more fun than it is in real life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always believed that you could take almost anything, and I could just take a rock off the ground and make a game about that rock.
Right.
And it might be little microbes growing across the surface, going through seasons. There are all sorts of things. If you zoom into the right scale of space and time, I'm sure I can, make a pretty cool game about a rock.
Sim Rock, is that the next one?
We're getting some sneak previews to some future ideas.
Yeah. In the chat, Dark Insanities, one of our mods, says one can learn a lot about humans by testing how long it takes the meteor to hit or the swimming pool ladder to vanish. And I think this is true. Well, I think that's a great segue. Why don't we jump into the Proxi presentation here? So
good.
Proxi is a game that you've been working on at Gallium for a few years now. And, when I was looking into it before we started this stream, it seems like it has changed a bit in the concept, from when you first announced it in 2018. At the time, it seems like maybe it was just going to be a mobile game, and now you've got other platforms in mind. Is that correct?
Yeah, right now we're actually our main development's on the PC.
Okay.
So we can distribute on Steam and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But obviously wants to, go mobile at some point.
Click.
So Proxy really is about how we take you and your life and make that the landscape of the game. And it's really the core of it is about harvesting, the most important memories out of your life. And you start by just putting a memory in, and we have a lot of tools for you to craft that memory, how it looks, uh, what the objects are in the memory, time of day, environment, etc. Uh, but you're also tagging that memory. You can really just tell Proxy a story, like you would tell a friend, oh, this happened to me when I was 10 years old. And Proxy tries to identify the keywords and concepts out of that memory and reconstruct, a visual representation. But more importantly, it starts looking for associations between these concepts. Let's go to the next slide.
The human brain is easily the most complicated
Who's
thing we
that?
know of in the entire universe.
I don't know.
We're at the point now where using modern AI techniques, we're able to recreate some of its abilities. But not only that, we're able to understand the way it works internally as well.
Okay. As I mentioned before, Lauren Elliott, our CEO, was my very first producer. And we met at Brother Bond. We've both worked on a lot of different games. Let's go to the next one. This is our current team on Proxy. And about a third of the people here I've worked with in the past on The Sims. So it's interesting, like you get to know these people, you work with them. A lot of these people I've worked with, probably a third of them for over 10 years. And you get just, it's one thing to kind of work on a project, but it's another thing to, be around a group of people that you really kind of like, appreciate, respect. And like Lauren and I, we really, we should probably retire, but we enjoy what we do too much. We just enjoy it, And the main thing that makes it enjoyable are the other people, that we're working with, that are, all in some sense good friends as well. So next. That's, I think somebody calculated that was a collective experience we had on The Sims, I believe. I can't quite read it from here.
Oh yeah.
Combined
Combined experience and design.
Oh, here we go. Oh, Sims and SimCity. Yeah. Yeah, but
Oops, sorry.
all games. That's okay. You can keep going. So when you create these memories, what you're actually going to do with them is you're going to build a world filled with these memories. The memories are basically the metaphor is something like a snow globe or a crystal ball that memory lives inside of. But you place these memories on a landscape, actual three-dimensional landscape, and you can organize them. And under the hood, there's a lot of AI trying to establish that associations between the concepts in your memories. The associations come in like 6 categories: people, places, time, things, activities, and feelings. And it can kind of correlate, like I can take, a person out of my memories and say, what do I associate with that person? What places or what emotions or a place, what activities do I associate with that place? And you will start earning these things as kind of like monuments or landmarks in your world. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. So, you'll be able to terraform this world, and Proxy will also do things like sentiment analysis. So depending on, as you put memories around, this area might become kind of dark, more spooky, because these are bad memories. Maybe they're sad or traumatic. This area might be more, kind of lush, tropical,
Are each of those tiles a distinct memory?
No, these are just the landscape right now.
Okay.
Next slide.
When I was a
This
boy,
is
I
how
went
we
camping
created
with my
memory.
grandmother on Lake Shasta.
I would
The
tell
fish we
Proxy a
caught and were
story,
cooking
and
on
as
the
I tell the
campfire
story,
mysteriously
it's trying
disappeared.
to recreate that feeling.
I was pretty sure it had been abducted by aliens.
Now,
When I was a boy, I went
I
camping
could
with my
just type
grandmother
and
on Lake
scan. I
Shasta.
could, speak by voice.
The fish we caught,
But
on
Proxy,
campfire
really, it's like the
mysteriously
concept is
disappeared.
pulling out of here. It's like understanding that fish,
Pretty sure
Lake
it had been
Shasta,
by
alien, camping. These are all things
When I was a
that,
boy, I
should be
went
in the
camping with
scene.
my
And I
grandmother
can,
on Lake
open
Shasta.
a browser and add a lot more stuff to the
The fish
scene if I
we
want
caught were
to,
cooking on the
manipulate
campfire
stuff, move it around in
mysteriously
the scene.
disappeared.
Or I could choose to just
I was pretty
represent
sure it
this
had been abducted
whole
by
memory with a photograph. We wanted to be able to pull in your photographs, automatically tag them, and have Proxy try to guess what the concepts were, behind that picture. But so this would be how you roughly create a memory. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Now, this is some of the things where you can like manipulate and decorate, change things, move them around. So we have a lot of tools in this thing to build that three-dimensional scene. And there's a dog. Okay, let's go to the next one.
I think I know what happened to this fish.
Yeah. Now,
Spoiler.
these are the memories, are the round bubbles you see here. This is what they look like in the world, and you can move them around. It'll show you associations. Those little kind of blue lines are memories that are in some way connected to that memory. It might be that they both had grandma in them. Or there could be a deeper level connection that Proxy tries, again, using a lot of AI techniques. If I have, my dog Rover in one memory and my cat, Kitty in another one, the AI should recognize at some point that they're both pets and animals, and so that's a looser connection than, Rover being in two different memories. But Rover and Kitty still have a conceptual connection between them. Anything like that, there's this concept called word to vec, which is what is the conceptual distance between any two words. So beach and vacation are fairly close. Dog and spaceship pretty far apart. But basically it's conceptually how related are they. Let's go to the next one.
That is so cool.
Now, your memory also can be put on the timeline of your life. And so you can move these around. You can scale them larger, small, depending on how important that memory is to you. One thing we found is that it's a lot easier for you to place a memory relative to other memories than give it an exact, what year was that or what, day. And so you can move these things around, and really it's a matter of you just, and Proxy is learning from everything you do here. So, when I put in a memory in the timeline, Proxy knows that, that happened before you had the car wreck, but it happened after you graduated high school. And it'll understand some of those factors, and depending on what the memories are, of course, it'll much more detailed. This is where you met your wife or things like that. Things from your memories will be instantiated in the world. So people from your memories will start appearing, wandering around the world, generally in areas where the memories that contain them are. But anything else conceptually could appear here, like my high school, could appear if I have enough high school memories. Things like that. And I can interact with each of these. I can kind of interact with the characters. And this is all private. This is all done in your own private little world. And so you can be very explicit when you choose to share a memory. And we'll have shared worlds. So I can have a shared world that I'm constructing with my family or my coworkers or my best friends, college roommates. And I might see one of my college roommates in this world, click on them, and they could transport me to that shared world we have. Or that high school, it might be that hundreds of other people have put in memories about my high school. I click on that, it brings me to the shared world of that high school. Wow. And I can even, filter the memories in that world and say, just show me the memories for the years I was there. Or, the memories with my German teacher. And, even if it's coming from strangers, I'd like to hear other weird stories about my crazy German teacher. And so that's where we get into a part of the social side. The other part I didn't mention before was that when you create these memories, the memory bubbles, we can have a lot of different ways to kind of output them and share them. So I might want to just create a memory and share that individual memory, and post on Facebook or wherever. And, it could be a little, basically me telling a story like I'd be telling you over lunch. Oh, guess what happened to me, back in the day. So, and we're trying to encourage people to put kind of like the important memories from their life in here, not necessarily what you had for breakfast today, but the things that kind of made you who you are, and which for a lot of people it's interesting. It tends to be memories from like their mid-teens to mid-20s. Seems to be where a lot of their most formative memories are.
Yeah.
Some a little bit younger, some a bit older, but there seems to be kind of a bell-shaped curve around that age range. All right, let's go next one.
When we were talking earlier about what's fun about making your sim go to the bathroom and everything, I could see how when you're coming up with those memories that you said, if you put in enough memories about your high school, maybe your high school show up. I could see almost like an achievement hunting aspect to this, where it's like you keep thinking about things from a particular time or about a particular person, trying to get them to show up in the game, and then feeling satisfaction once they do.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to work too. That once I put enough memories about my dog in there, all of a sudden my dog appears in the world.
Yeah,
and
that's nice.
Yeah, and I think that every time I put a memory in, it always reminds me of other memories. Oh, that reminds me of the same time. That same house we went to. Years later, and the connections between your memories. And that's part of what you're kind of seeing here. This is kind of a busy little map because we have too many filters turned on right now. Well, basically, you're not seeing the words here. I wish maybe it's under next, but
Also, I see a hot dog there, so I vaguely remember a Sims 2 grilled cheese aspirate. Yeah, don't tell me breakfast is not important.
Basically, this is kind of like an under the hood view of these memories, trying to seek out where they want to be.
Yeah.
Some of the more nervous ones here can't really find a comfortable place.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Those colored blobs represent the 6 categories. I think purple, and normally there'd be a word cloud on top of this, so you could see, what each of these, regions represented. In addition to having characters and concepts appear, there are going to be like mini games and quests and challenges that will appear depending on what you've entered. And you can take your characters, from your world onto these like little quests and earn more resources for building out your world. Let's go to next. In this case, I would pick someone, take them to the Survivor Island, and they have this test. Like Battle Royale, it's more like Gilligan's Island. But so the proxies, a lot of it is we want them to be something you identify with, but they stay fairly abstract. But you will be able to decorate. There'll be an avatar creation system, and we can get, that's all just kind of like a given.
Okay.
But over time, as you enter more and more memories, you're actually developing the intelligence of your proxy, in some sense. As well as we can infer a lot about their personality just from what happened in their memories or your memories. We will want to also be able to pull these proxies out of Proxi, the game, and bring them into other gaming experiences. So we'll probably be down the road, almost like Sims expansion packs, building kind of whole new experiences for proxies. A lot of which will be social as your proxies are interacting with other ones. And we're going to have, fictional and historic proxies as well, probably community built, collaboratively built, I should say. So almost like a Wikipedia page. So there might be, 100 people building the Wikipedia entry for Cleopatra. We'd like to have 100 players putting in memories from her, her life, we know of it. And then have Cleopatra as a character in the game, And so if I want, I can have, an amazing dinner party, with Cleopatra and Napoleon and Da Vinci. Or I could take, real characters. I could, have a cage match between Cleopatra and my grandmother, and see who wins. So we're thinking about a lot of experiences where we take your proxy out of this world and into other worlds. Next.
Okay.
I think it also, I mean, this is a little bit morbid, but it would be interesting to have like my parents or my grandparents. Like recently, my sister and my cousin and I were on a group chat talking about something we'd found out about our grandmother who died 20 years ago and
Oh,
trying to figure out, does anybody know more about this? Do we actually know when this happened or whatever? And it would be so interesting if my grandmother could have fed all of her memories into Proxy before she died. And then we could have learned more about her as adults that we weren't really in the right place to understand about her as kids.
oh yeah. I mean, that's definitely one of the things I've been imagining for this. I wish my grandmother had put in the 100 most important memories of her life
Right.
in her own words. To hear her retell these stories would be, and then in addition to that, so this would, potentially that would be one of the shared worlds that we could have. Would
Mhm.
be like your grandmother. You start a shared world and then invite your family or her friends into this, and
Yeah.
everybody's putting in stories about her. And so when you go to that world and you talk to her, she could be telling you stories you've never heard of. Stories that my sister told her or my mother.
Mhm.
And I think that to me becomes kind of almost like a software heirloom.
Right, right,
Is something that you would kind of treasure, like the old box of photos that you
right.
might lose, but hopefully this now everything's on the cloud. So
Well,
uh,
and with the box of photos, it doesn't have the added context. So the
right,
farther you get away from the person being alive, the less you really know, like, who are these people and what was this picture and everything.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Where was this
yeah,
taken? But yeah, I can love the idea that it becomes at some point an autobiographical work
yeah,
that is posing as a game.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's amazing.
Well, I think one of the things that really appealed to me in The Sims was the ability to create stories, whether they were true or
Mhm,
untrue. And
mhm.
it feels like this plays to that as well.
Yeah, we look at different player types, and there's this thing called Bartle's types, where they categorize players into
Okay,
achievers,
yeah,
Hmm.
this, that, and the other competitors.
Hmm.
Proxy, I think our primary player groups are going to be storytellers and
Hmm.
creators. The
Hmm.
mhm,
creators are going to want to build up these elaborate, cool worlds. Storytellers are going to want to, really go in depth on their memories and tell them well, and tell them in a way where they want to share them. And it feels like a form of self-expression, just like people did in The Sims. Now, this is actually we've done some experiments. We've actually created exported our proxy characters into Minecraft and
yeah,
Roblox in terms of how would they be interpreted. And we actually have an AI layer on top of Minecraft where they can sit and chat and have stories and tell each other while they're trying to accomplish a goal. And so they're given a goal in Minecraft. It already knows what you can and can't do in Minecraft,
mhm,
and what kind of objects are there. But it's interesting to take some of the proxies that you've created in your world, bring them to a totally different game environment, and watch them interact with each other. This is actually the digital layer we were putting on top of Minecraft. This is another company, Altera, that we're working with. This is more on the AI side. As we bring these things to life and put them in an environment, and they understand what the rules of that environment are, what the objects, what the verbs are, what the goal states are. They can take what they know about our proxy characters and their personalities and abilities and interests and have them behave, as they should, roughly, in totally different game environments with different, kind of goal states. Oh, this is an example of, well,
Minecraft.
yeah, this is a Minecraft, but the whole time they actually have little conversations and stuff. Um, and a lot of the things they talk about are based upon memories you put about them in, and they'll reference those memories as well. Uh, so this is really just kind of an experiment. We started.
Yeah, it kind of blurs the lines between reality and video game.
Yeah, like in this case, it knows that I put a memory about my grandmother going camping with me, um, and so she obviously has some camping skills, and she knows how to make a fire, and there's the same thing for all the other characters. You can even understand these two people don't like each other, or they had some history, somewhere, etc. But yeah, I think we can skip. This keeps going for a long time.
All right, question time. So that's amazing. I'm just blown away by this, and I want to play it right now. So I hope you'll come back and join us again when the game's in a playable state, because I think we would have a lot of fun.
Oh,
with
absolutely. Is it going to be multiplayer? I guess that's my first question. Is it
Like
single player, multiplayer?
Yeah,
local co-op.
in the shared worlds, yes. Again, your private world, if you choose to bring somebody for a tour of your private world, you can have a curated
Okay.
tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why I like motorcycles. Somebody take you through these memories. When they become in other game experiences, depending on what the game experience is, they can be semi-autonomous, like The Sims, in that you can kind of jump in and take control of them when you want to. Even on, one of the things that really makes it different is the dialogue aspect. So no, it could be that you're having a conversation with, another Proxi, somebody or even a historic like Einstein. And it's giving you choices, like multiple choices in terms of what you say next. Trying to pull up. Typically, when people converse, there's some thread to the conversation.
Okay.
About my car got a flat, and he said, "Oh, I just bought a new car. What'd you get?" And I hate British cars. They break all the time, and whatever. And then pretty soon you're talking about the fall of the British Empire.
Yeah.
But
Just one thing leads to another, and somehow you're
yeah,
talking about the
Right.
fall. Yeah.
yeah, especially if you've been drinking.
Too
But
real.
so we'll have a lot of social games like that where you're kind of halfway controlling, because and then at the end of the day, you might be competing to be on Einstein's leaderboard, who are his 10 best friends,
Right.
or 10 worst enemies. So we can build goal states around that stuff as well. But yeah, there will be several aspects of the game that are multiplayer.
Yeah. That concept sounds very interesting to me, and kind of to add on to what Emily was saying, how different perceptions of a memory. So it'd be very interesting to see how different things interact with one another, if not just on a multiplayer, but just in the game itself. So
Yeah.
I'm
Right,
very
they're
interested
different
in that.
perceptions of a memory, but there are also different perceptions of a person
Yeah.
or a place or an
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
And so you have the haters on that side of the world, the lovers on that side, and it's all the whole world about windsurfing. Who knows?
Very strong opinions about
Yeah.
windsurfing.
Well, also I was just thinking, great way to kind of reconnect with people and hang out with people that, there's people that you've lost touch with that it would be kind of awkward to get together in real life, but maybe you could get together in a game like this, and it would be, my 25th year college reunion is supposed to be this year, and I'm like, I'd like to go, but also I feel nervous about that. Whereas it might just be more fun to reach out to my 5 best friends from college and be like, hey, let's go play this game together and remember what college was like in that setting, rather than having to go out into this group of 1,000 people who are doing that right now, who I don't have a connection to.
I agree. I kind of like the small group dynamics a lot better. And it's, I do this with my cousins sometimes, or my aunt, where we recall stories, and it's something I was involved with, but I don't remember it. Like you were saying before, you're going back and reading your old email.
Right.
It's kind of amazing. And then hearing it from a third person point of view, it's kind of cool, because, you get a sense of how they saw you, how my aunt saw me when I was 10 years old,
Right.
and, it changes your perspective on how you think about other people.
And how you think about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a question in the chat. Someone's asking, does each world have a main character where it's all through their perspective?
Yeah, that is your main world. Your Proxi's world is private to you. So every Proxi has their own private world. Like I said before, we want to be very explicit, that you have to pull a memory out of that world and put it in a shared world before anybody else can see it.
Okay.
And even then, you can kind of manage the group who's allowed in that world, only, whatever. So it'll be kind of who can see these memories in the shared worlds. But in your private world, because I do want people to put in, memories that are potentially traumatic or sad,
Right.
depressing. the more people can do that, first of all, I think it's helpful just to kind of record these things and be able to step back and look at them. But secondly, we end up with a more authentic version of you.
Yeah.
Right.
So I definitely don't want to incentivize people to just game the system and make up memories about, I used to be a starship captain and da, 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 da. I mean, I could, create another proxy.
Right.
And kind of playing with the idea that we might have another personal world or two, in particular one for dreams. I'd love to have a separate world where I can enter my dreams, and it does all the same association stuff, but it understands that I wasn't really a starship captain. I just dreamed I was a starship captain, But I also dreamed that I was being chased by dinosaurs, and I also dreamed another time that I just having a mixture of all these random dreams in one world. That's exactly what the current AI is turning out to be really good at, is looking for patterns in seemingly unrelated data points.
Yeah.
And so that's, where I think, AI is really going to be on our side here.
Well, that's so interesting too, because there are the dreams that you keep having, and they're like slightly different, but you keep having that same dream over and over, and having AI able to kind of reveal to you why you keep dreaming about that. What you're really thinking about.
80% of my dreams, whether they're good or bad or neutral, somehow involve architecture.
Okay.
It's always some strange structure or deep dark basement, or flying balconies, or there's always like some architectural aspect to it for some reason. I'd like to explore that more.
I know, let's unpack that. Well, I was just going to say exactly what Emily said. It's like if you repeat dreams, or like when you wake up from a dream and it feels real, right? Like those emotions you felt during that dream felt real. So you're like, I don't know, if you have an argument with your significant other in a dream and then you wake up and you're like, I'm mad at you because of this argument that we just had.
Dream.
That's exactly what happened a lot with The Sims. We had a lot of, teenage girls, they put themselves in The Sims, put their boyfriend, things would happen. They go back to their boyfriend all pissed off. Why did your Sim do that? Why was he flirting with that girl at the party?
Guilty. No.
I think that's a great segue. Maybe can we load up The Sims?
Yeah, I can.
I'm playing some Sims.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds good. Do you have a strong preference, Will? Did you have a favorite town that you worked on?
Pleasantville.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I think that's where the goth live. There he is.
Yeah, there we are. This was so I'm so sorry. This is where I'm gonna nerd out a little bit. This was so well done, like the story aspect of it, and you talked a lot about that today, so I won't get into it. But yeah, for anyone who's unfamiliar with The Sims, there's lore, there's story. So
these were all characters, or some of these were characters from The Sims 1, like 25 years later, right?
Yeah.
I loved that. That was great.
Yeah,
I was a big Sims 1 and Sims 2.
Yeah, when we were doing the original Sims, we put in a few test characters just to see if we could, really recognize their personalities. And so we had Darren and Samantha from Bewitched. We had Archie and Edith from All in the Family, and then we did the Addams Family, which kind of evolved into the Goths.
Yes. Okay.
I can't believe this game is 20 years old. It doesn't look it. I mean, maybe it does look it, but I think it looks great.
It is The Sims 2. The Sims 1 is about 20.
I think The Sims 2 came out in 2004.
Oh, I guess it is 20. Well, 20, yeah.
Yeah, 20 years old.
Yeah, because Sims 1 came out, I think, February 2000.
I remember getting The Sims Making Magic, and it had like a disc in it with like, I think it was either Create a Sim for The Sims 2, and I was like, okay, this is all I'm doing. But yeah, they have the goth. I mean, there's lots of good story and memory, and the thing, they have memories built into this game too, which I really appreciated. But
should we play as the goths?
Let's go ahead. We'll go the classic family. But the cool thing is you could go into different families and see like people, how they knew the goths, or like romantic interests. Like it wasn't stated explicitly, but you could infer the story based on like the relationships.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I also loved how one of my Sims married that guy. Don Lothario.
This dashing gentleman right here.
I think it's the Sim who is in my avatar. I think she might have married him.
I think they might. Yeah, so they are
And
engaged.
maybe she broke up with him too.
Don Lothario and
Cassandra
Cassandra Goth, who is a child in The Sims 1 and is now an adult.
I don't remember that.
Well, I do PR for Ron Gilbert of Monkey Island fame, and he talks about the fact that whenever he meets fans, they'll go up and they'll ask him a question like, "Why did this happen in Secret of Monkey Island?" And this person said this to that, and he'll be like, "I have not played that game in 20 years. I have no idea what you're talking about."
No, that's how I feel too. It's like,
Yep.
I was reading a discussion forum the other day about Sim Ant. I can't even imagine how old that game is.
Right?
I think it's so sweet that Mortimer and Alexander
And his
are
kid,
just...
his grandkid, yeah. This is so great.
I think it's his son, isn't it? It's his son. This was cool too. The family tree.
Oh, it is his son, yeah. So Cassandra is his son. So his first wife died. Is that what happened? If you click on Cassandra, I think it'll show us who her mom is.
Michael Bachelor. Oh my goodness. There's so much backstory here.
Okay, Michael Bachelor was also one of my husbands.
Oh
dear.
my goodness. But this kind of ties into what you were with Proxi, the connection to different memories. This is kind of a very rudimentary like connection to that. Like, you know, even something as simple as a family tree tells a story.
Yeah.
It's interesting how much connection I'm hearing as you discuss the characters. You know, that, oh, that person did this in my world, and he was that person's son, and you know.
Yeah, you build your own. You kind of build your own universe with these communal characters.
Right.
And something else that I loved about this game was that if you then played a different character, a different house in the same neighborhood, the characters that you had created would show up there. So I'd be playing some other family, and like my avatar would just kind of wander into the room, show up uninvited or something, which was really cool.
I wonder if there's a way, because they're engaged. I wonder if I can get them married. Oh, the cemetery! It's been a while since I played this game as well. Are there... Oh, Crumple Bottom, Goth, all of their headstones.
Right,
ancestors.
Where they could haunt you, I believe.
Yeah, I think if you go there at night, maybe the ghosts might come out.
Ooh.
Well, also, I think it depends on the relationship you had with them.
Yeah. And probably you can go, if you go over there, there's probably an interaction like remember or cry or something like that.
Let's see. Let's have more.
Yeah,
that was actually the very first Sims. We decided very early on we wanted them, A, to be able to die, but B, to have the repercussions of the death.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a downer for everybody that loved them or, you know, were friends.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I remember when I started playing The Sims 2, because with The Sims 1, there was no aging, right? And so we were an adult and you were just always an adult. And I remember playing Sims 2 for the first time and not knowing the cheats to like slow down aging. And so my first Sim that I made kind of just went through her natural life cycle, and she died at, you know, of old age after I'd been playing for a week or something like that. And it was kind of traumatic, you know? And then I learned how to stop aging. So I had the husband got a second wife, and they went on to have like a clan of 20 children or whatever. But always in the family tree, there was that first one who was named M. They were both named M, but who was dead, you know. And there's a ghost. Oh, and it's got the spooky music. So what happens if you go talk to the ghost?
Let's see. Hold on, I gotta pause. He's zooming. Oh, there's. I don't think you can interact with them yet. I don't know.
What if you just like go outside and
just see?
Yeah. Quickly before he disappears.
I know. Come on, Mortimer. Hustle.
Yeah. Don't take the long way.
Oh my goodness! Right here.
So, Will, when you were working on Sims 2, did you have a team who just kind of looked at Sims 1 and made a list of like, here are all the things that.
Oh, look at this!
And now he's gonna go around. Did he pee himself?
Oh, there is a memory aspect to
That was
this.
awesome.
Where is it? Oh, here.
Yeah, and now he remembers that. Oh, that's so great.
This was so well done. I'm so sorry. You're just going to hear this from me nonstop. Like, this tells a story, like, of all the people who died. And I remember people, because they saw that Bella was not in this household, they were like, where's Bella Goth, right?
Yeah.
And so they would look at the memories and they're like, okay, well, there's nothing, doesn't say anything, but there was, oh, Bella Goth got abducted by aliens. Here it is. So everyone was like, well, where did she go? She got abducted by aliens. But I guess you can.
And that's why she didn't age. She's like a younger age.
Yeah. Yeah. This was so cool. But yeah, he has a memory now from seeing the ghost. I thought that Sim was gone, but I guess nothing is forever. ... The world is an endless mystery. Yeah, let me press
We have some questions in the chat. We have a question for Will. Do you remember when you first thought of Proxi and simulating memories?
Oh, I don't remember when I first thought of it. I think it's more like an idea that was percolating for a long time. Obviously it's, has a lot of relationship to The Sims. But I think also I found myself getting continually closer and closer to the player.
Yeah.
And making it more, there's kind of a saying I've lived by, which is that no game designer has ever gone wrong by overestimating the narcissism of their players.
As you're talking to someone who has a Sim avatar and like recreated herself multiple times in this game.
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of goes to figure that the more I can make the game about you, the more you like it.
Yeah. Oh, I just love the animations in this. It was such a kind of leap in technology between The Sims 1 and The Sims 2 to be able to have this 3D where you can zoom way in on the characters and you can see these great animations. And each expansion pack just built on it.
We were right on the cusp of, graphics cards becoming the norm.
Right.
3D being, really easily achievable and all that. We were, biting off so much with The Sims 1 just on the behavioral side, but that ended up working out really well for us. So it wasn't even, we didn't have to change that much for the behavioral system for The Sims 2.
So she did this funny animation, like being a fish. I don't know what that was. That was so cute. Did anybody see that? There it is.
She's with her mouth and everything. That was great.
That is so cute.
Okay. One of my favorites is when the parents tuck the kids into bed and you can tell the kid a bedtime story. Yeah. And there's this just really cute, you cover them with a blanket and you kind of give them a kiss. And the animators must have had so much fun working on this.
Oh, he was sleeping in the bed with his dad. He's probably scared of the ghosts. You go. Oh, wait, no, his room's over here. Okay, they're getting tired. I remember the needs depleting quite quickly in this game. I'm like, oh, I've been neglecting my Sims. Someone's gonna pee their pants.
We're only halfway on the bladder.
And then Don Lothario is just showing everybody that he does not know how to play the piano, but he's playing it regardless.
He needs to practice.
Maybe not in my house at like 11 at night. Can you go away?
And Will, I've read, seen interviews and stuff where you talk about originally when you were pitching this game to people that nobody thought, how is this going to be fun? How are people going to want this to be a game?
Yeah, everybody, games are usually about saving the world or, ruling a kingdom, kind of a power trip, And whenever I described The Sims, it was about, oh, no, it's about taking out the trash and cleaning the toilet.
Because those tasks are so fun in real life.
Yeah. But one thing that's interesting in The Sims, I found it interesting to hear people tell stories about what they did in the game. And we did this very early on since we had something running. We had people come in and tell us what happened. And And the stories, they would start out like, well, I had this sim and he got hungry, so he got some food, and then the doorbell rang, and I went and answered it, and it was my next door neighbor. And they very smoothly go from third person to first person.
Oh, uh-huh.
Goes from he did this, he did that, to and then I
I
went
did
over
that.
here, and then I did that.
Interesting.
But then they'll pop out of that character and go back to the third person, and pop into another character, first person. The
Right.
way we were, person was able to kind of look at these Sims and surf their identities in some sense,
Mm-hmm.
one to another.
Yeah.
And that actually reminds me that this game is kind of beloved in the LGBTQ community because it allowed people to create avatars of who they would like to be, or how they thought of themselves and wanted the world to see them,
Yeah,
which I think is great. And one reason also that this game is really important to the type 1 diabetes community is in The Sims 4 they actually have added wearable medical devices, including CGMs, continuous glucose monitors. So we have people in our community who are able to wear a CGM on their arm or on their stomach, just like they do in real life. And it's kind of
Got mine. Mine is right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's on my arm.
And your sim wears one too?
Yes, of course. I put a CGM on my sim. So Bella has really low cooking, so I had her cook something, and I was hoping we might get some drama.
Do we have a fire? We do have a smoke detector in there.
I want to know this looks interesting.
you were mentioning the LGBT thing.
Yeah.
It was interesting because everyone on the team decided we wanted to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And then the few people that complained about it, they would never really kind of just do that on their own. It's only if you started to have them flirt with each other, and then maybe next step they might start kissing. And so they're talking about how you have lesbians in your game, but well, how did you make them flirt? Did you make them?
You wouldn't have lesbians if you hadn't explored it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you were exploring that yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to read a couple things from the chat. We've got somebody who says death is part of life, and the Sims franchise is a great way to teach you how to process that. I think that's a very good point. And then someone named Jalapeno Chili says, Spore made such a big impact on me since being a child. Hello from Russia. I decided to play Spore Adventures today, played on maps dedicated to awkward humor and made by Russian-speaking people. And then we've got somebody else saying, I love that Proxi is kind of like you, Sim.
Was that you, Sim?
YOU, Sim.
Oh,
so it's like,
okay.
Sim's you.
Got it. I don't think I played that one.
It's talking about Proxi. How Proxi is a personal version of The Sims.
Oh, got it.
A lot of
eating burnt toast here.
a lot of therapists were using The Sims, especially with kids.
Yeah.
They try to talk to a kid about their family life or their home life, and the kid wouldn't say a word, but then they boot up The Sims and have them recreate their family. And watching the kid play, that was a very comfortable environment for the kid to kind of tell their story.
Yeah.
Through gameplay.
Yeah. I wonder if I don't know anything about this, but I wonder if for kids with autism, if playing a game like this would help them learn like interactions, how you interact with people. I worked on a game many years ago. It was a mobile game, but it was specifically for it was a high school simulation, or maybe it wasn't even grade school. It was a school simulation, and the idea was to help kids with autism learn how to recognize facial expressions.
Yeah.
So if you have a conversation, you say something to somebody that's going to hurt their feelings, and then you see how it reacts, how it affects them in their facial expression. And it seems like The Sims could have a similar effect.
My 14-year-old son is borderline autistic.
Oh, really?
And yeah, but he never really played The Sims. He likes games like Team Fortress and stuff like that. But what I found is that he plays it online, with audio, and he has these people he plays with, and he's learned a lot about social interactions just by being part of a team.
Hmm.
Most people see that and they think, oh, it's all about killing, but actually, it's really more like a sport. Like,
Right, right.
we have to work together and all that. And I think he's learned a lot of social skills. Just even though it seems like a violent game, it's not super realistic, gory violence. It's
Yeah.
more comedic violence.
Cartoon, yeah. I just want to read something in the chat here. Minaki says, autistic person here, the answer for me was no. My social sim skills did not translate into real life at all. I used The Sims mostly to process childhood trauma. While most people were starting fires and deleting pool ladders, I was giving myself the happy childhood I never had, which is that's nice.
Yeah.
There was
I know
an
a lot of people.
I forgot her name. Very famous pop star in Germany, kind of like Britney Spears level. And I got to meet her, and she was a big Sims fan. But she was workaholic. She would go from concert to concert to concert. Germany's fairly small, so we'd basically be driving the back of her limousine between concerts, and that's when she'd play The Sims. And I asked her, okay, tell me what your life is like in The Sims. And she said, oh, it is so boring. It's wonderful. This is mundane life, getting up, having a routine, and that was her fantasy.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
grass is always greener.
Yeah, I think before Emily and I were talking about like favorite expansion packs, and for me it was like The Sims University.
Me too.
Yeah, because I was a first generation college graduate, so before I went to college, I played The Sims University. I was like, I can't wait to do this. It was a fun thing. I think I was one of those players as well, just boring. Everyone was a painter. Everyone, was rich by the second phase of adult life. It was very boring.
And I played. I'm older than you. I played The Sims University a few years after I graduated from college, and for me, it was. I loved the idea of kind of raising these Sims from when they were babies up to being college age, and like seeing them off to school, and then kind of reliving my own, social experience that I was nostalgic for through the lives of my little baby Sims that I raised up. Zekmo says Proxi release date. We talked about that earlier. No release date has been announced yet. We're all going to be waiting impatiently to find out when Proxi is playable. So Will, before you have to sign off, any last parting words for us? This has been so much fun, and I wish we could just talk to you forever.
Nothing really comes to mind. I mean, I appreciate what you're doing. My grandfather was diabetic type 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a good friend of mine is as well.
Wow.
My good friend, he's about 40 now, but he's traveled the world like on a bicycle or motorcycle, and he's managed to deal with it. He carries around this thermos, where he keeps his insulin, and but he has, it definitely, he has to plan around it.
Right.
But still, the fact that he could still lead this kind of adventurous life, having to deal with that every single day of it. It's pretty inspiring.
Well, Breakthrough T1D, our organization, recently rebranded. They used to be called JDRF. They've been around for more than 50 years. And specifically, they fund type 1 diabetes research. So a lot of the advancements, technological advancements that allow something like somebody biking around and controlling their T1D comes as a result of research that JDRF and Breakthrough T1D helped to fund, and we're closer now to cures for type 1 diabetes than there have ever been. And I think, Ariel, you can probably speak to how technology has improved just in your lifetime, right?
Yeah. So in addition to being a Sims fan, I'm also a Just Dance content creator. So it's like a game where you get in front of a camera and you dance and you score that way. Dancing a lot, it burns a lot of energy, and of course that causes my blood sugar to drop. I can't imagine not having a continuous glucose monitor to watch that. I've done a speed run of Just Dance, which is it's dancing for 3.5 hours with no breaks, and that's always a struggle for monitoring my blood sugar to make sure that I don't go into a really severe hypoglycemia. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the technological advancements have come about because of the research that Breakthrough T1D has funded.
Yeah.
Yep. I just had to draw attention to this really quick. Dude,
Who is that guy?
this rock bears a resemblance to someone we know.
Yeah, it's a chia head.
Yeah, as much as I love the Goths, they're living their best life, even though Bella Goth's not there. So I thought I'd bring us to one of the more dysfunctional families, I guess. I don't know.
And actually, one other quick thing I want to tell you, Will. One of the co-founders of our program is Hans Ten Kate. He used to work at EA, and he was I'm not sure if it was a producer or a development manager, but it was on the Simpsons game.
Oh, okay.
And so when we told him last week that we were going to have you on the stream, he was like, "Oh," and we actually played the Simpsons game with him on a Dev Diaries earlier this year, and he was like, "Oh, you got to go see Will's appearance in the Simpsons game." So I went and I found it and I posted it on our social media. But that was also amazing to see you as a Simpsons character, as a boss in that game.
Yeah, it was fun because I got to go down to LA to their studio with writers work and got to meet the writers, and we did the voice recording down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was always one of my very favorite shows ever.
That was awesome. That was great.
All right, well, thanks everybody.
Thank
for
you.
inviting me.
Nice to meet
It's been
you.
amazing. And we hope that everyone will check out Proxi. The link to your website and your Discord are in our chat. So we hope that we send some people from our community over to become part of your community. And we're going to be keeping an eye out for Proxi because it's super exciting.